A pretty solid game, I think, from Team Solo Mid. I want to go back to picks and bans. First of all, wins on Rengar, definitely not Insec. It was closer to Crumb's level of performance, not Insec level.
Wow.
The game played out a 4v0 meta, almost. I want to go early game and throw it straight over to Crepo because we saw those lane swaps, and I know you guys were discussing it backstage.
Yeah, basically what ended up happening is they late picked Leona, and then somehow they were afraid to play it into the Janna Kog'Maw, so they swapped away from it. And that kind of led to something really interesting, especially with how the minion management come. We have a replay coming up. I don't know if it's now or later.
Give it a few points, because I think Monty's also a bit confused about that early game and the lane swaps.
Yeah, it was some pretty sloppy play on the map too, and we had a kind of weird pseudo skirmish in the mid lane. After which, because Leona was already down in the bottom side, I feel there perhaps was an opportunity to go ahead and use TP for Lulu to get into the bottom lane.
Both teams could have used TP.
Yeah, it was
wave on tower.
Yeah, it was actually pretty poorly played from both sides. There wasn't a whole lot to like.
Lack of understanding, misplay. Like, where does it come from? I mean, if mistakes were made on both sides, was it a circumstance of events, champions?
I feel it was over caution. I think that it was a nerve issue because both of these teams should know how to do this at this point.
It generally stems from not seeing enough people on the map, and then in scrims you'll take that risk and all, but on the world stage you don't want to be that guy that TP's back to lane and just gets caught by people.
Well, I disagree. Everybody was in the mid lane like instantly before that happened, so we had a pretty good idea of where everybody was.
But here's the issue: is when a lane is slow pushing and you teleport to it, you signal, guys, 4v0 dive me, where a jungler's off the map, the other top laner can TP in to join, and again you've got a Leona down there, right, who's ready to dive someone like Rumble, who has very poor escape tools.
Darius could have definitely. By the time, nobody could have been even closer to Darius,
so
but yeah.
That actually leads us to the replay. You were talking about a slow push lane, 4v0. You were very excited about one particular lane management.
Moderately excited.
So let's show the replay where it's meant to be shown.
Yeah, okay, so basically what's happening right now, so if we roll the clip right now, you're going to see what happens in the standard, like, 2v1. Basically, someone's going to walk out of the brush, get those melee minions, I go on the same target, then walk back into the brush, and that will allow those melee minions to take one target down. So that's the standard freeze, right? If we keep going, we're going to see that. But I don't want to be mocking Jay here, but he's going to do something that I don't really think is too smart. He wants that relic stack, and that sweet, sweet 20 gold he got there actually screwed up the freeze. If you run it really slow, you'll notice how there's one range creep barely on enough HP to get like 5 extra auto attacks, and that will actually break the freeze, and it'll slowly push away. In return, what's going to happen is TP is going to realize it's like, yeah, guys, we can't leave our AD carry alone because if we free up the support, somebody's just going to walk up and take all that XP. So they hover around top lane, having a 4v0 dive ready. TSM spots the fast push on top lane and actually reacts immediately by just pushing in the wave even quicker. I think BB, once he noticed that this wave is pushing, just insta shove it into the tower so he can free up his support. But people are just, we can take the replay down by now. People are just hovering on that lane way too long, and I just wanted to highlight how this one attack, this one minion that you take down 2 auto attacks from creeps too early can ruin an entire freeze.
The hunger for the gold.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too is this is how we used to play lane swaps back in the 4v0 meta, and so the correct response here is if you are going to stack a minion wave like that, you have to figure out a way to zone the enemy top laner off the turret. So in a way, this could have actually been quite surprising by reverting kind of to a previous lane swap meta, but I just don't think they thought enough about that during the game.
No, they didn't.
Let's expand a little bit more. As the game progressed over the next 10 to 15 minutes, TSM completely stamped authority, cross-map ace, plus dragon.
Impressive.
After punishing TPA for starting the dragon in the first place. Yeah. And well played. Freak, what's your comment on that?
It was a lot of miscommunications here because at the very start, you've got these guys starting dragon, they're trying to 2-man the dragon, and they're actually going to get it. And they pull off because Dyrus teleports in. And the thing is, Achi doesn't communicate. All he has to do is run in there, and he run in and he flash ults to stop the teleport. If he had let his team know he was going to stop the teleport, they finish the dragon, they don't take that extra 200-300 damage, they don't die to Bjergsen, Amazing doesn't steal it, now the jungler and mid laner are freed up to not allow that bot lane dive that TSM then gets on them, and then they're not low health so that Amazing and Bjergsen kill the mid laner afterwards. Like, this all stemmed because Achi didn't tell them 2 seconds earlier, I'm going to stop the teleport.
I can see that working out. Probably you haven't chimed in too much yet. As the cross-map ace happened, TSM got control, didn't let go. They pushed all the way through to the end. What was your take on the matchup? I mean, Xerath being played by Bjergsen, he went 5-0-5. Your take on TSM? I mean, you know them fairly well.
I was actually really happy that Bjergsen didn't get a lot of jungle help this game because it started off and it seemed a little rocky. He was actually chugging a lot more potions than he should be in that matchup because I've seen him win it before. And it wasn't going too great, and then he gets that Dragon Steel and hits all 3 ults onto Rengar, and right after that, that just fired him up. And after that, he goes the ace mid lane, and then that game just snowballed off of that. But it was really happy just to see him kind of like do it all by himself, get his lead by himself.
And we know he has the ability to. Right, yep. I'm going to instigate some trouble here. Deficio called Janna the MVP champion pick of that game. Nami was available. Earlier today, Monte Cristo was not convinced that Janna is a good support, and
whoa!
In contrast to Nami,
no.
Explain why.
No.
What do you think?
Okay. In that specific composition, in this composition, if we're looking at TSM, when you have, let's talk about the win conditions here. You want to get that mid-game power spike with Kog'Maw, Trinity Force, Athene's onto Xerath, and then have Rumble with, it doesn't even matter how, Rumble can have no items, really. Like, it doesn't matter. And then you want to group up. If you get the shield onto Kog'Maw, he can W the turret safely. You can poke people off. If you need to, you can Rumble ult. You've got great Dragon control if you poke, and you have great early siege. And with the cross-map ace, they got a 14-minute Trinity Force onto Kog'Maw. This is a great power spike. Now, my complaint about the way they played this out was that come 22, 23 minutes, they actually grouped too late. After the initial ring of towers went down, they seemed to start thinking about Baron a little bit. They were not very decisive, and so this game probably should have been over about 8 to 10 minutes sooner. Once they figured it out, and they actually managed to group together as 5, use that Rumble ult to start taking towers, it started working really well. The pink ward's on the flank, perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about how fast they can make decisions, because against a good team, you leave a window to get back into the game.
Yeah, and I agree. Janna is this great, again, 20-minute champion. I think she actually scales just fine throughout the game. The interesting thing about this was, I also still contest that was a fine pick in the prior matchup where we were all disagreeing on whether Janna was good or not. My basic thrust here is Janna is that good, and the 20-minute push is that good that even if she doesn't fit the comp exactly, we've seen champs that you pick regardless of their place in the game anyway. Champions like Kayle, champions like Maokai, Apachigo especially, where no matter what you pick them anyway because they're just that good. I think Janna's there for support, so that's my thrust on that one.
Day 2, I got to get a thought from Crepa before we roll on, and we will continue this round 3 of Janna versus X fight later.
Yeah, I just think TPA made Janna the MVP pick because Janna was up on the board already, and then they picked Rengar and Leona into it. It's like, hey, we have this crazy disengage support. You know what we're going to pick? Engage. Yeah, and then, oh yeah, I have this one solar flare that's going to screw your team over. Oh, you have Mikhail's? I can't do anything anymore. Or I have to swap away from you. They could have picked anything else, and they could have maybe even won that lane. I think a well-played Braum Tristana can beat any Kog'Maw lane, which I'm very passionate about. You guys are already tired of me talking about that all the time. But I'm really disappointed with the Leona pick, and the Rengar pick to an extent, and I think that just made Janna the MVP pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think you either pick a matchup that wins the 2v2, or you switch your pick and get a split pusher to beat a siege comp and just try to buy time.
All right, we do need to roll this one on. We will talk more a little later in the day. Right, there's still one more game to be played, so let's take a quick look at how the table is set. I'm going to quickly rattle off the results before we go to this ad break. Samsung White is 3-0 at the top of the table after scoring that pentakill, taking down Dark Passage. Group B, Starhorn Royal Club, top of the table 3-0. Team Solo Mid, sitting relatively comfortable second. Taipei Assassins, the hometown hero, is going to have to pull this one back. Anyways, guys, we are going to take one last break before our final game of the day. It's LPL's Edward Gaming versus AHQ Esports Club. Stay with us.
World Championship 2014, my bro.
But amazing in the back pocket. He gets the cripple down. He's able to lock it. It's Archie going down for first blood. Dyrus can throw down a red carpet. It's right across them. Jay gets locked up pretty hard, but the damage really is not following through just yet. Jay going to be looking for a solar flare. It locks down Dyrus, but he's already got the equalizer damage out. Zanya's across the board. You're looking good, gentlemen.